And I think a lot of people are affected by this, especially more high income earners, right? That live in the suburbs, great life, and that inertia is so strong. So this, so I now get a little paranoid if I get too comfortable for too long, which is not right now. I'm not in this problem right now. It's a little bit on the other end of it. I don't have that problem
Mm.
right now, but when I find myself going through that, I get a little paranoid. Like I like it for a little. I like to coast for a little bit, but then I was like, uh-oh, something's not right. Like I need to aspire to something. I need to develop some kind of ambition.
Thank you, Mr. Blanc. Long time listener. Very excited to join you and be a part of your wonderful podcast.
That's cool. And
Thank
you're
you for
joining us
having me.
from Egypt here today, which is kind of cool. It's your
Uh,
evening there.
we are in Egypt today, and I think look, it's something that you've touched on in a lot of your podcasts, which is why are we doing this? Why are we doing multifamily investing? Why are we investing in commercial assets? It's to have freedom, and I've been fortunate for about the last year or so to effectively be living out of my suitcase. And so yeah, we're here today in Egypt in June, so it's quite warm, but saw the pyramids, saw the Sphinx, and enjoying it. Pretty ready to settle down after a year in my suitcase.
Well, you're doing this by choice. Obviously, you decided that you're going to go see the world.
Yeah, so this was kind of precipitated about well about a year and a half ago when we recognized it was challenging to continue to add to our portfolio given the interest rate environment. So kind of took a little bit of a sabbatical hiatus from buying new deals, and but again, this is the beauty of multifamily investing, that it provides that cash flow that allows you to weather storms like the storm we're kind of living through right now.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk to you about that. I do want to talk to you also about kind of your history here because you got started in an early age in investing in commercial real estate and apartment building, that kind of stuff. And you had a really successful W-2 career, right? What was wrong with that? Like, why would you throw that away? Why did you get into real estate? What problem were you trying to solve at the time?
So just to back up, so I'm 33 years old, and I started right out of college in the commercial mortgage banking business. Um, and my timing was very fortunate, right? Because from 2013 till 2022 was one long bull run with respect to commercial real estate values, and also interest rates just went in one direction during that period. So I was very fortunate with that timing, where I had so many refinance opportunities where clients were coming to me looking for cash out refinances. And so it was a great business. I became a partner, and it. But what I recognized one day, and this was probably about 7 or 8 years ago. So I'm a partner in the mortgage business. I don't yet own any commercial assets. I do own my condo, and one of the benefits of working in commercial mortgage banking is you have access to the financial statements of your clients. And so I was regularly reviewing personal financial statements of people who were worth 25, 50, $100 million. And so one day I'm looking at one of my clients' tax returns. Keep in mind, this guy was worth $50 million. I, at that time, was worth just about nothing. And I was looking at my tax return, I was looking at his tax return, and I paid more in taxes than he did.
Isn't that the darndest thing?
And so I recognized in that moment, okay, I'm making a good living here, but clearly I'm on the wrong side of the table. And so in that moment, I kind of had an epiphany that the true wealth is comes from being on the principal side, being on the ownership side, rather than being on the transaction side, whether you're a investment sales broker or a mortgage broker. Um, so, and the other benefit was in 2000, beginning in 2017, a new president came into office, and one of the things that he instituted was a pretty radical tax reform, and that allowed for cost segregation or 100% bonus depreciation. And so, really, beginning in 2017, the strategy was make as much money as possible in the mortgage banking business while also buying assets, cost segregating those, and then getting to the point where I'm paying very little in taxes on my earned income. But but the question is yes, there did come a point where um I didn't want to be tied to any one company. I didn't, and what I found when I was working with borrowers, with clients, the reality is sometimes clients will mistreat you, and I got kind of fed up with that, fed up with having someone to answer to. And so in early 2022, I just went all in on myself, all in on my relationships with my investors.
But what did that look like? What did that transition look like? Because a lot of people they'll maybe buy a rental or two on the side, and like what did that transition look like in practical terms?
So, one thing that might be interesting for your audience is that I actually have not pursued the syndication model. I understand that that's the vast majority of your listeners are interested in that model, but I actually pursued the joint venture model. So I've never done a syndication, but instead, what I did was I did joint ventures with very high net worth individuals, and those individuals were actually my mortgage clients. So I was basically able to convert what were my mortgage clients into my investors. So I was fortunate that I avoided that whole process of marketing and having to find equity, because that equity was just there. Now, starting in about 2020, what I did with these select individuals was they owned hotels. Okay, and I think we can all remember what happened during COVID. COVID was not great for hotels. So in that moment, they it became apparent to me that they wanted to divest of all of their hotels. And I saw that as an opportunity. I was like, okay, let's sell off your entire hotel portfolio. Let's do 1031 exchanges into apartments. I will oversee that entire process, and I will get acquisition fees, some other sweat equity, some asset management fees. And that ended up being very successful. They've now sold off their entire portfolio of hotels. And we now own, about $90 million of real estate. There's some medical office, there's some retail in there as well, but the rest is multifamily. And another unique thing is it's multifamily in San Diego, California, not exactly a syndicator's best friend in terms of markets.
So you're going to Brazil. That's pretty cool. Southern
Yeah.
Brazil. And then kind of what's next to you on your growth path?
So I just want to ask you one question on that follow up. In that period of complacency that you experienced, did you start to feel like your ambition was slowly also kind of being sapped out of you?
Well,
Because
yes.
that was my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 because what do you need to strive for? You already have everything, right? You got enough money coming in, you got time, you're healthy, you're living in a nice house, a nice car, and I think a lot of people are affected by this, especially more high income earners, right? That live in the suburbs, great life, and that inertia is so strong. So this, so I now get a little paranoid if I get too comfortable for too long, which is not right now. I'm not in this problem right now. It's a little bit on the other end of it. I don't have that problem
Mhm.
right now, but when I find myself going through that, I get a little paranoid. Like I like it for a little, I like to coast for a little bit, but then I was like, oh, something's not right. Like I need to aspire to something. I need to develop some kind of ambition,
Yeah.
not
Yeah. So I
maniacal.
would say I'm still dealing with this challenge, right? Because um the truth is we did buy a large deal last year, a little deal earlier this year. We're about to be under contract on another 16 unit deal here in San Diego. 16 units, $9 million. That's San Diego price, and
Yeah,
believe it or not, that's a steal.
right.
Um, so I am working on these things, and I'm focused on the asset management, adding value. But we all as men, or we all as human beings, we need some big mission to be working on. And if you lose that, and again, I kind of found that I lost that briefly when we weren't buying a lot of properties, and when I sold my equity interest in the mortgage business. I didn't have that guiding kind of north star, um and I learned that's something we all need. And it doesn't necessarily have to be buying more multifamily buildings. It's there's charitable pursuits. There's dedicating yourself to one hobby. But if I could leave your audience with one kind of larger piece of advice, is make sure you have that one thing in the morning that makes you jump out of bed.
It's funny. Financial freedom is a funny thing because it causes a temporary sense of confusion and identity crisis because your life has been so tied up with, well, earning money, providing for a family, and all of a sudden your purpose has disappeared. And so I see in a lot of people, it's really kind of entertaining sometimes. I just sit there at 2:30 in the afternoon. Their wife's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Mm.
And it's interesting, but it presents people with an unprecedented challenge where they have this void or vacuum in their brain, and now they have to grapple with filling it with something. And before, you never had the luxury because your brain was always as full, it was actually overflowing, and now you actually have the luxury of thinking about what you can actually do with your life. It's really fascinating. It's like, what are you going to do when you grow up, Rich?
Exactly. Yeah.